Hi again, everybody. So, after a very long night last night, oh, by the way, this is day two of our attempt to build this organ. So, after a very long night last night, up to around 4 a.m., then I had to wake up at 6:30 to go in the lab. And now it's 11:33, and we're just finishing this up. And I have clinic tomorrow. Yay. Anyway, that aside, let's get into organ part two. So, yesterday we started to work on the contact board, which I ran into all sorts of problems, but I think I figured it out. Actually, I know I figured it out because I've already pretty much put together a contact board, which I'll show you in a minute. So, um, yes, so let's just walk through what we're going to do next. So we finish up the contact board, and then we're going to wire the contact board. And then after that, we'll make the lid for the contact board, and then we'll add actually before we do that, we'll put the encoder in, hook it up to our computer, and make sure it's working. And then from there, we'll make the lid for the contact board, lay it down, and then try to wire up, the keyboards and everything. And it should hopefully work. So, um, let's jump into this. So let me show you what I've done so far. So this is the top of the board. If you remember what it looked like beforehand, we just had our blank magnets here, right? So what I've done is, and I'll show you what exactly everything is. So remember, I think in the last video I made, I had these wooden blocks, and then on the underside is the reed switch, right? And it's held in place by these two screws. And then you anchor this part into the back side of the board to hold the reed switch in place, right? And so a problem I had last night, so here's an example, is that the reed switch, is not, it's very sensitive. So what I had to do is I had to modify the pedal board by cutting in these little divots. Not move the camera here. Cutting these little divots in so that it makes a little slot for the screw and the reed switch, so you can properly adjust where it needs to be. And so when you press the magnet down, it will get held in place. This all makes sense in a moment. So let's jump in, and then I'm just going to finish the last one and show you how I put this together, and then we'll move on. Okay. So this is, first off, you're going to need a block of wood, which I cut, right? And I just drilled. Actually, I'm not going to use this one. This one is kind of small, so give me a second. I like this one better. So this should be about 1 inch wide. For at least for my pedal board, it need to be about 1 inch wide. And then I drilled 3 holes inside, right? One that's going to connect to the edge of the pedal board to hold it in place, and the other 2 to hold the screw. So how we put this together is we'll need our reed switch, right? And then we'll need 2 screws. I'm using just a really nice flat, just the flat-ended screws. I think they work a little bit better because when you are going to work on it, you don't want this sharp pointing end pointing up at you when you're trying to fix wires that are not working correctly. And then we're going to need our anchoring screw, and then we'll need 2 washers right here. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so yes. So first off, we're going to just go ahead and slide 1 washer onto the first screw, right? And insert that into one of the holes. And then just go ahead and just do it finger tight. Get it as tight as you can with the finger here. And then you're going to put the second washer onto the next screw. So hopefully all this works. I just came up with this at like, 2 a.m. last night. Hopefully this will all work. And then you're going to, after you insert the washer on this screw, right? You don't need to twist this wire at all. Just leave it the way it is. And we're going to just slide the wire through the end of the washer, which I don't know if you can see how that's going into the washer. Past the screw, so it's held in place there, just like so. And then we'll take our block, slide the other washer forward, and then you're just going to insert the second wire through the washer on the other screw. So basically you just have the reed switch held in place there like so. And then you're going to just use your fingers and tighten up the second screw. Then after you do this, you'll just press down the washers down to the wood so that the reed switch is sitting on the wood surface. Again, so you can see that. And after you've done that, just use your finger to hold the reed switch. Now, this is an important step because I screwed this up multiple times. You can use your power drill to make this go faster, but you only want to go down just to where, it's not completely tightened. Otherwise, you'll break the wire attached to the reed switch like this. Which is no fun because now I'm running low on these, and these things they're not expensive. They're like $2.50. But if you buy 32 of them, you do the math. So anyway, so we're gonna take our power drill and just slowly advance it in. And then just go to about that far in there. And then you're going to go for the second one. Just make sure you hold the reed switch because you don't want the screw to break it. Okay. Then we'll get our handy dandy screwdriver and just go to finger tight. No tighter, otherwise you'll break the wire attached to the reed switch. So let's do that now. Okay, that's tight enough. Turn it over, do the other side. Hoping this doesn't break and embarrass me. Okay, so now we have that attached and that looks good. So then you have the two screws coming out. So remember, the current's going to flow through this wire, come through the reed switch. Once the magnet comes close to it, it closes the circuit so that it completes the circuit so that the current can flow through the reed switch, back out through this other screw, which then we're going to attach to our output wire going to our computer. So now let's install this onto our pedal board. Just bear with me here. Try to do this. Give everybody a headache here. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see what I'm going to do here. This is kind of far away. Oh, and multimeter will be your best friend. Otherwise, you'll get through the whole thing and realize that you completely messed up all your circuits. Alright, sorry, I don't have this cameraman here to help me with this. So, alright, so what I'm going to do is first turn it over, right, for this bottom screw. You're going to just rest that on the edge. So, this is hard to do. Edge here, right? Okay. And then you're going to take your multimeter attach one end to one screw, doesn't matter at this point, and then attach the other end to the other screw. And then if you slide it forward, you should hear a beep, right? You don't want that, so you need to move it back until you don't hear the sound anymore, which is about here. So when I press the pedal down now, you see the pedal moving right here, or right here? You'll watch it move. Let's move it down. So now we're getting the sound only when the pedal is moving towards the reed switch. So we take our power drill again, this time with a drill bit attached to it. Always fun. And then just align it here. Oops. I'm not a wood person. Just double check and just slowly advance, drilling our hole. You don't want the wood to break, which I've done that too. And that stinks. So you gotta redo it. Alright, then we get our anchoring screw, which I'm not sure where to put it. So right here, anchoring screw into the hole. Just get it in there with your finger. Pick up your power drill again, this time with a regular screwdriver attachment. And then just very slowly advance it in here, okay? Very slowly. Otherwise the wood is thin and it will crack. That's solid. Now when I press the pedal, hopefully we'll get sound, right? There it goes. Good. Alright, so that's excellent. Now another thing I wanted to show you is that I actually tried this way that I'm wiring the board is so much better than before. So if you can look and see, you can actually see how I put these little blocks in to hold the reed switches, right? Now, if you notice, they're all like kind of like a person's teeth before they get braces. They're all up and down, up and down. What I tried before was to use a single board and then attach the reed switches onto the board based on the height of the pedal. Now that in theory would have worked if all the magnets probably would have been the same and all the reed switches would have been the same. But what I've noticed is that some are weaker than the others, and so what happens is you get all these weird positions. So just in case when you're building this you decide to try to use one board, just keep that in mind that you're going to have a headache trying to align every single note, and I just wouldn't recommend doing it that way. Because I tried that, and that was all the past 2 weeks of trying to get that set up, and it didn't work. So, with that said, let's go on. So after you've done this, you've created your contact side. The next step is going to be to add the wires onto the board. And for that, if you remember, if we look over here, we're using a wing net and another washer, and then so I'll go ahead and wire it up. Well, I will try out wiring it, and then once I get that worked out I will come back and fill you in. Alright, good luck with setting up the contact board.